Now for the second update. Mission accomplished. We had a great drama-free holiday week. I've made it to 2023. I apologize to anyone in advance. I find humor about how my condition helps me. I'm finding I am being a bit selfish currently. All of the participants dispersed yesterday afternoon. I only have a few updates because I'm not going to talk about my week with my family. That is for me to cherish. Observations about WW in this week. I honestly think this is the first time she stepped out. Being with all of us this whole week seems to take a toll on her. It is funny how when you know something, a person's actions make more sense. She was secretive about her phone. She stepped out of our family gathering to get some air quite a few times. The best was when she needed to run into town, and one of the grandkids wanted to go to town also. The gymnastics she did to not take the grandkid. I have to admit that I kinda played with it by asking why not. So the affair is continuing, with me now retired and she is asking me about my plans for the day or week. So I go ahead and tell her, and then ask her what her plans are. Later this week, I will suggest we meet up for lunch due to me being in the same area as her on our plans, just to F with her. I guess it was true someone said on another post, unpredictability is the cheater's worst enemy. This morning I met with my lawyer. I had made decisions and asked him to draw up papers. I replaced my temporary will with my new permanent will. That has been signed and should not have to change again. In preparation for all hell breaking loose, I had him draw up divorce papers based on the prenup and the evidence of the affair. She gets nothing but 25% of our shared assets. Think housewares and furniture. I keep all of my liquid assets, retirement funds, and items I purchased with my own wealth. Also, if I push it, she is required to pay alimony. I have signed them and have a packet created with all of our evidence of the affair. I am holding this in case I want to use it. I sold my loan to the trust. I will allow the trustees to convert it to shares in AP's company. Speaking of the trust, I have decided how I want it managed. I will drop myself to a 1% trustee. The twins will get the majority of the trusteeship. The 4 grandkids will make up the rest. All of the grandkids' proxies will be Sarah and Steve's. As each turns 24, the kids' trusteeship will move from Sarah and Steve to the grandkid. If a fraction is left over, Sarah gets the extra share/vote/value. I have planned a meeting with the kids, Sarah and Steve, for next week. I plan on telling them everything then. They have to sign documents, and they will want to know why I'm doing this. So when this is done, my personal value will be my liquid assets, personal property, and the money from the AP's loan. So in the worst case scenario, Jane will get very little compared to the assets and value in the trust. In the next couple of weeks, I will disperse the few personal items I want to go to the kids and grandkids. Those are already at a safe location where my lawyer has access. Some of you commented on my health. Well, if I was not clear, I am not fighting this. I am letting nature take its course. So I have no ill side effects from any treatments. I did notice this week I was more easily tired out. The family noticed also. I played it off as the old man getting older. I still have the cough. The cough is what started it all. It was my tumors in the lung that led to all of the diagnoses. I just played that as a lingering COVID cough. I expect to go downhill pretty fast once other issues pop up. But by that time, everyone will know. And thank you for all of your well wishes on that aspect. I am planning to spend time with the family. A large trip with all of their different obligations would be tough. That reason is why this week was so important to me. It was the last time I could be with all of them for an extended amount of time. I am thinking of a small trip for myself. We will see. I do plan on spending a day one-on-one with each child and grandchild. That is my next goal. The letters are not done. Those are very difficult. I will let you all know how the meeting next week goes. Best to you all. Now for the top comments. We are all here for you. I wish you for the best few months of great joy. I know karma will prevail because you're doing your part to ensure it does. But I really want your health to win this battle. Don't think I've rooted this hard for someone to live. So happy you made it to the new year. Enjoy your family, OP. You're such a lovely man, OP. There are really shitty people who get to live a long and useless life, yet people such as yourself are robbed. I am sending you the biggest and tightest hug that lasts a long time, not a fleeting, insincere one. When my sister passed from pancreatic cancer, she refused pain medication because she didn't want to be drugged and out of it. That will always stay with me, seeing her in pain and still hanging out with us. You, sir, are facing death with grace and courage. But it's also okay to be afraid. You made peace with it and are choosing to end on your terms. This gives me a lump in my throat and breaks my heart. I'm so sorry this is happening. Now for the third update. I had my lawyer, a notary, the twins, Sarah and Steve, to my farm today. The tasks I needed are done. This process has gone about as well as it could have gone. It is understandable that the family is hurt and angry. When everyone arrived and they saw my lawyer and the notary, the tension in the room was high. I asked them to just sit and listen to me, and after I finish, they are to sign the papers. After signing the documents, I will answer all questions. They all know about the trust. I explained to them it was time for me to release control of the trust to them. I explained how important the trust was in my life, why I started it, how it was outside of my marriage to Jane by mutual decision. I also left instructions on how I wanted them to direct and use the trust. We explained that the trust would be split between the twins and the grandchildren, with Sarah and Steve equal proxy votes for the grandkids until each of them reached the age of 25. Their trust in me was evident because they signed the documents and got them notarized. After that was done, copies were collated, and I dismissed my lawyer and the notary. I saw them out and thanked them for coming out on a Sunday. They both were gracious as always. When I returned to the dining room acting as a conference room, they all were quiet. My daughter broke the silence with the first question. Well, it was definitely a multi-part question, or a stream of consciousness. As soon as she stopped, I started with my health. I explained the fact of my diagnosis. I listened to them making plans on how we are going to fight this. And this is where I stopped them. I explained the odds. I told them I have already had a second opinion. Then I told them what you all already know. I am not going to seek treatment. I'm going to let nature take its course. We spent the next hour to an hour and a half arguing. My daughter left the room a few times. Sarah had to go get her. While they were gone, Steve, my son, and I had a heart-to-heart. They understand where I am coming from. They might not agree, but they understand. The consensus is that Sarah and my daughter will come around. After all, this calmed down, and I knew the next question was coming. When did I find out? And I told them. And now there was another round of anger and sadness. I explained that I wanted one more holiday week where I was not a dead man walking, that I was selfish. I wanted this diagnosis to be after the holidays. I don't want it to taint their holidays for the rest of their lives. My daughter, sensing there was still more, went all Kojak. She was not going to leave the room until all were out. She asked how in the hell did Jane not tell her. That is when I dropped the last bomb. I told them exactly the same account of events that I did in my first post. That is the first time I truly saw the fire of anger in my daughter's eyes. I then told them she to this day does not know I know. I basically answered the same questions, plots, and etc. that you all suggested. So I guess you all prepped me well. In the end, I told them I valued them way more than Jane. For me, I just want to spend the rest of my days in peace, not worrying about Jane. I had to explain my actions during the holiday week. They also pieced together her steps outside for air, and the trip into town where she did not want to bring the grandkid. They were worried I did this all alone. I told them I have some social media friends that helped me through the roughest of this time. I refused to tell them where and how. They can learn later, but I still want this space for myself. The emotions were really raw, and we have been talking off and on as a group for a few hours, but I told them I needed to go back and talk about the trust. They understand that the trust will be very helpful in not allowing Jane to obtain my hard-earned wealth, that it protects them, and that is why she is not part of this meeting. With that said, I then needed to share the financials of the trust. I'm pretty sure that they all saw the trust as a tax dodge, or just a way to protect assets in a marriage where the kids are from another woman. They were not prepared for me to share the finances. As I started to go through the assets and the balance sheets, the room just fell silent. Then there was one question. Why did you work so hard those years when you had this much? I explained my philosophy of personal finance, something they have heard many times before and take to heart. But I told them that I lived off the trust all of these years. I put them through college with that trust. I made time in my life for them with that trust. And I was able to work for a nonprofit for basically free because of that trust. And if there is any example I want to outlive in them and their children, is to use this trust to do better for others. And not to just write a check for a charity here and there, but to work for something they believe in. In my years with this nonprofit, I have done so much more in training others and building relationships than just writing a check cannot do. I am not happy that today, everyone's lives at that table changed in so many ways, good and bad, because of me. It was not the way I wanted it to happen, but it is done. They know all of it. I have begged and pleaded that they let me deal with Jane, not to talk about the trust with anyone. We will run as status quo for now. When I get sicker, then things will change. They all have agreed. We spent the next few hours making a meal, talking, crying, laughing, and breaking into smaller groups. They all have left about an hour ago, but I expect the twins to come back. I know they will let their spouses in on what is going on. That is just the way they are. And I love my 2 in-laws' children very much. I knew that last night was my last quiet night. I feel a weight lifted but replaced with another weight of worry. Thank you all for reading. Your thoughts and prayers are so valuable to me. Again, tell your loved ones how you feel and give them a hug. Now for the top comments. Wow. If you aren't the epitome of the phrase, lead by example, I don't know who is. One thing you may think about doing is to start making some recordings or writing a journal with thoughts that your family can come back to and watch. It doesn't have to be anything significant, just your thoughts, and maybe some of your favorite stories and things you'd like to share so that they have them when they miss you. That being said, since you've been here sharing this tough stuff with us, I wanted to ask, are there any fun memories of stories you'd like to share? No worries if not. I just thought it'd be nice to not only be here with the hard stuff. Good luck to you and your family. You probably know this, but it sounds like you lived life right. I do have a smartphone. I guess I could start doing that. I got my letters finished, and they were hard. Maybe the videos would be just more candid. Like, hey, I am going to the store and I just remembered this is my thought on X. Thanks for the idea. Wishing you and your family all the best. I'm glad to hear you'll now have support closer to you and not just us internet strangers. Your family will rally around you and make all the more memories while they can. Blessings to you. Been reading your story from the beginning, and you are restoring my faith in humanity. I wish you good days and happy moments for rest of time you have. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's story. Please like and subscribe to help the channel, and so as not to miss out on the part 3 of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.